It's first thing in the morning on Friday. Trying to get your video uploaded on time. Here's Faye. Hi, baby. We're gonna do this while she's playing on the stairs. She likes going down them. She thinks it's fun. Which she's actually pretty good at it. She's only fallen off once, so she's good. This week is our labor and delivery stories. And let's see. Started out on July 25th. I was laying in bed and I felt something. And I was like, what the heck is that? Like, it was this weird pressure. And I couldn't tell what was going on because my first kid, Robert's like, are you having contractions? And I'm like, how am I supposed to be able to tell? I do not know what's going on. And, and so, after a couple of hours of them, he was like, okay, that's it. I'm taking you to the hospital because I don't want her to be born, like, in our bedroom. That's not okay. And when we got there, they hooked me up to all the machines, and we heard her heart beating, and they were checking my contractions. And after a couple of hours, they sent us home because my contractions weren't strong enough to worry. And they just told me that since I had an appointment in the morning anyways with my doctor, that I should just keep the appointment, see what he said, and then go from there. And so we went to bed, and I was on strict bed rest because they didn't want my contractions to get stronger. And in the morning, July 26th, we went to my appointment a couple hours earlier than they had originally planned because they wanted to make sure that everything was okay. Because it was still 4 days before my due date. She was supposed to be born on the 30th. And you're crazy, baby. Crazy, baby. And when I got there, they tested my urine like normal, and they found protein. And from Kelsey's video, you know what preeclampsia is, and they were pretty freaked out. I was only 90% effaced in 2 centimeters, but my doctor was worried. You want your toy? Hi. Oh, you biting your princess puppy? Nom 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 nom. Princess. Careful. I don't like how you're standing. Now you're gonna have to go all the way down there to get it. Hi. Yeah, get it. Do you want help? Go. And he said, you know, we were gonna wait until like a week after your due date to induce you, but because you're going preeclamptic on me, I'm sending you to the hospital right now to be induced. And I freaked out because I was like, well, I still have 4 more days. I'm not ready. No, she's not going to be born right now because I can't handle that. No, and then I started crying just a lot. a lot of crying. And I wanted my dad to know that I was going into labor and that she was going to be induced and be born and everything. But I was crying too hard, so I made Robert call him. And my dad said that he understood and he was on his way because he was still a trucker at that point. So he made sure that he could be home to see her when she was born. So we packed up all of the rest of the stuff we needed for the hospital and headed over there. And we waited for quite a few hours, like 4 or 5 hours, I think, before they actually came in and got everything set up for me. They had to put in the IV and get the drip ready and everything. And my IV person messed up twice and had to get somebody else. And those needles, I don't know if you guys have ever seen them if you're not a mom, but those needles for the IV drips suck. They're huge. They're like, oh, ginormous, and I hate needles. I can't even handle like tiny little blood drawing needles. And they had to stick me 3 times, and I'm pretty sure my hand still has a scar where she missed my vein. And my phlebotomist husband is pretty pissed off still, because apparently I have perfect veins. And once they got that going, they checked me every once in a while. And my best friend, Laura, Faye's auntie Lola, she's going into the yard, gotta follow her. Came all the way up from Phoenix. Normally a 2-hour drive, but because there was like a crazy insane traffic jam, it was like 5 hours or something like that. It was nuts. And when she finally got there, she was like, hey, do you want anything? And I was like, well, I'm not supposed to have outside food. And I was like, well, how about you sneak me some curly fries, because that's my entire pregnancy craving. And so she did. She brought me some Jack in the Box curly fries, and she hung out with us for quite a while. There was a point where my contractions got so painful that I looked at Robert and growled at him and told him that if he did not go get a doctor right now, he would be hurting very soon. And he didn't like that very much, but I was in pain, so I was like, I don't care. And he went to go find the doctor to give me some of the numbing stuff that they would have if the anesthesiologist guy with the epidural wasn't there. And he said, oh, well, the epidural guy will be here in 20 minutes, so they don't want to give you the other medicine. And I was like, oh my god, you've got to be kidding me, I'm going to die. And when he finally got there and I got my epidural, it was the most amazing feeling in the entire world. Come here, kid. Oh! And oh, you saying hi? Yeah, I know, you like your reflection, silly girl. My contractions went from painful to giggling, and I was like, look, I'm having a contraction. And it got late. It was like around probably 11 o'clock when she finally was like, okay, I'm exhausted, I'm gonna go to the hotel room. When anything changes, let me know. And then after Laura left, they told us that we should probably try to get some sleep because we wouldn't be sleeping anymore once the baby was born, and they were pretty right. So, where are you going? Yes, I love you. And like an hour or 2 later, I woke up and I had an itch like down there. So I was like, okay. So I went to scratch it and it was wet. And I was like, something's wrong. Something's not the way it's supposed to be. So I pressed the call nurse button and she came in and she's like, well, it wasn't your water. It was your mucus plug. Your mucus plug finally came out. And we need to get you set up. Baby's on the way. And by that point I was having more painful contractions, so I asked them, can I push the epidural button again? And they said yes. So I did. And kiddo. Oh. And once I pushed the button, everything went really numb. Like, I stopped being able to move my legs. They said that was normal, so not to freak out. And they helped me up into the stirrups and everything so I could get set up to have her. And once I was up there, one of the nurses was like, oh my god, don't push. And I was like, but I need to. Like, my body is freaking out. I need to push. And she said, if you push right now, nobody's going to be here to catch the baby, because the doctor was busy sewing up a C-section that he had just done like 2 minutes ago. And I was like, oh, I need to push. And they were like, well, you need to hold it. You need to like bear down and hold it. You're not allowed to push. And her water sac tried to come out intact, and they said that they could already see her hair through the water sac. And Robert was looking and watching, and he said it looked like a white water balloon or something. I don't know. I was like, okay, that's weird. And then the doctor finally came in and he broke my water. I think I would have preferred to have her born in the water sack, but that's okay. He broke my water and then he told me, okay, push. And they did the whole, okay, squeeze, bear down for 10 seconds and then release. 10 seconds and release, and we'll do that in sets. It took literally 4 pushes, 40 seconds for my daughter to be born. That's it. She was just straight out. We didn't have to push at all. She was just like, all right, it's time, we're good. And then they wrapped her up and put her on my chest. And I touched her head and said, oh, hi. And then they took her from me. And Robert told me it was because she was purple and then she wasn't breathing. And they had to sew me up because when she came out, she put her arm up like this and ripped me open, 6 stitches worth. And while they were doing that, the nurse was like, you ate before you had her, didn't you? And I was like, well, yeah, I had a pizza because I was starving. And she's like, you're going to regret that. And I'm like, no, I haven't puked during my entire pregnancy. I'm fine. I'm not going to puke. And then like 10 seconds later, I was like, barf bag. And then I just started puking. Lots and lots of puke. It was horrible. And Robert was rubbing my back and the nurse was holding my hair. And I kept yelling at Robert between pukes that he needed to go check on our daughter because I wasn't worried about me. I was worried about our daughter. He was like, I'm not worried about our daughter, I'm worried about you. And eventually I convinced him to go over there and look at her. And my best friend luckily had my really good camera in hand and took that amazing newborn picture of her like right out of the womb once they got her cleaned. That was in my previous video of when she was born. And from then on out, it was no sleep at all because I decided to breastfeed. And in the hospital, she was perfect. She latched, she nursed perfectly, everything was going right. But she would not sleep in her bassinet. She absolutely refused. She was like, no, I'm only going to sleep on you, Mom. Which was okay with me because I was already starting to feel the postpartum. I was like, well, I miss my baby. You come here, you know. I'm not going to let you sleep in a bassinet when you could be sleeping with me. And here she goes up the stairs. And she did. She would breastfeed and then she would fall asleep. And that was perfect. I kind of missed that. Oh, there she goes up the stairs. Do-do-do-do! Conquered the mountain. You want your toy? Here you go, boo-boo. And Robert left a couple of times to check on all of our animals and get some stuff to eat and everything. But I just stayed in the hospital room and cuddled my baby until they finally let us out. Like, people came to visit, my friends and family, and it was pretty funny because up until that point, my mother had been pretty angry about me being pregnant. She didn't want me to have a kid this young. And Faye, no. Thank you. And when Faye was born and she came to see her, like, her attitude completely changed. Like, she instantly fell in love with Faye. She was holding her and letting her suck on her finger and just acting like she never was mad about her, which is okay. And when my dad got there, he wanted to see her, but he was still all shaky from driving a truck that long. And so he waited to hold her until she was a day and a half old, almost 2 days old, when we went over to my parents' house with her. And my sister held her and cried because she's like, I felt her when she was in your belly. And Laura held her when she was first born, and she fell asleep in Laura's arms. And she still loves her Auntie Lola, which we're going to go see this weekend. We're super excited, just an FYI. And I think that's pretty much all of my labor story. But while I've got you on camera, she jumped out of her crib this morning. Yeah, first time ever. I'm not happy. We're gonna have to do something, I don't know. If anybody's got any tips about how to stop crib jumping, please comment below and let me know, because I really am not ready for the jumper stage. If anybody's got anything, please. But that's it. We will see you again next Friday. You wanna say bye? Come here. Say bye. Oh, who's that pretty baby? Say bye-bye. Bye, guys. See you next Friday. Enjoy your weekend.